My name is Huber Perla. I am an informatic systems engineer with more than 15 years of experience. This project I'm showing you was a challenge to changing the whole computing platform from the revenue assurance area in the world-class communication company I used to work. In this slide, I'm showing you the computational platform before the changes I applied. In the area, we had two obsolete servers. These servers were Windows 2003 servers with SQL Server 2000, each one with 500 megabytes of capacity. They were not in the domain, almost not free space left, and they have some issues like memory and disk fails. Each of these SQL servers, they have more than 30 databases. For a mistake, they established to create 5 tables for each week and 5 more tables for each month of data. They have more than 50 DTS. These DTS are the extraction, transform, and loading processes for extracting the data from another databases like Oracle databases or DBMS or data warehouse databases. They have interface TXT files. These TXT files were, some of them were more than 50 years old. Each server was accessed by more than 100 of users. There was a problem with the databases because they were not able to update the databases. Each time the database was needed to be updated, the table was to be deleted and recreated with the new data. The backup of the databases were in an external USB disk. The users used to extract data using SQL Management Studio and transferring the data manually to Microsoft Excel. In Microsoft Excel, they created repetitive daily and monthly reports and charts manually in Microsoft Office Suite. They maintain more than 500 MS Excel books, some of them with more than 10,000 of rows. The SQL queries in the SQL servers took sometimes more than a day to running. The ETL processes, the DTSs, were manually executed. I propose the following changes: to buy a new server, to upgrade the operating system, upgrade to the database server software, normalize the databases, clean up the data, migrate the data, migrate and automate the DTS, integrate to the enterprise domain so they can the security policy and backup policy from the enterprise, automate the backups, and develop software tools for automate reports and data extraction, and develop some web pages for the most frequently used reports. buy a new server. First, it was no budget for buying a new server, so this problem was scaled to the enterprise system architect from the solution was create a new virtual server. This new server configuration was 64 gigabytes of RAM, 16 processors, and 4 terabytes of disk space. Upgrading the operating system. The operating system for the new server was established to Windows Server 2012. The database server software was established to SQL Server 2012. The normalizing of the databases. Usually they created 5 tables each week and each month. So each table was distinguished by date. Every table shared many attributes, so we normalized the data. I normalized the data. One table for each month, like enterprise standards. Cleaning up the data. There was more than 15 years ago of data. There was more than 50 years of data in the server. The old data was never used, so it was established a new standard. 2 years of data in the server and 5 years of data in the backup. Migrating the data. The original data was in SQL Server 2000 format, and it was required to be migrated to SQL Server 2012. There is no way directly to make this migration. It was needed a second server, SQL 2005 server required to passing the information, the data from 200 to 5 and 5 to 12. I was investigating and I found a way without using a second server. The way was, instead of migrating the databases, I started migrating the tables. It was most work, but it works. The data was migrated and transformed according to normalization. A colleague, the data owner, was testing the data while I was migrating. The DTS, because of the obsolete version 2000, couldn't be migrated. All of the DTS must be rewritten in 2012 DTS version called SSIS. Before the rewriting, I realized I made clean up of this DTS because some of them were never used. New SSIS ETL processes were developed using Visual Studio 2010 and .NET. Were selected on more than 20 SSIS for developing. This task was made with the help of a college. The enterprise system architect included the new server into the domain. It was applied the enterprise security policies to the new server. It was integrated to LDAP security and IP security. No more external USB disk for backupping. The enterprise system architect included the new server into the enterprise tape backup policy. I developed some software tools for automate reports and data extraction. The users wanted to continue using Excel for analysis and reporting, so Excel must be into the tools. The most important recurrent analysis studios were developed using VBA for application into Excel macros. These tools had the following general functions: automatic connection to the new server, incorporated queries, and automatically running for the required data for analysis, incorporated new calculator fields required for each analysis, automatically generated statistical charts, Excel sheets with a formatted report for direct printing. Hundreds of Excel books were required to be updated monthly, simply adding a new column, copying the last column, and recalculating formulas. The original process took more than a week. We developed a tool to automatically update the Excel books required. The time was reduced to less than an hour. Monthly PowerPoint presentations for top executives were automated. They were a joint between multiple Excel books and took almost a week to develop. With the new changes, the time was reduced to less than an hour and the errors reduced almost to zero. The most important reports were developed as web pages using Visual Studio 2010, ASP.NET, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and HighCharts. HighCharts is a statistical charting framework based on statistical framework from Google. These web reports usually show the behavior and tendency of the data in a time interval. As a summary of this project, a new virtual server was created with enough resources for years. The data was organized and cleaned up. New automated ETL processes using SSIS, new automated tools using VBA and ASP.NET, reducing time and errors. The users forgot to work in repetitive tasks like extracting data from reports, and now they have more time for analysis. The budget was zero. The human resources, was 3 people, me 100% and 2 people 25% each one. The time estimated 6 months for finishing the project. The project was ready in 4 months. After the project was ended, this technology was shared with all the team in the area. They learned the use of it, and 2 new projects for developing automated tools were established. Thank you.